Hello everyone, this is Tina with Tia's Treasures, and today I have for you the March 2023 Simon Says stamp kit of the month. And starting off, I've taken it out of the mailing box already, but this is everything that came in the mailing box, or the shipping box. So we've got some Distress Speckled Egg Embossing Glaze. I guess comes in speckled egg or salvage patina, and I got speckled egg. Put that to the side. We got a nice little mesh bag in the, what's that, like a peach color. Lovely. I love storing my kits in here. And then on to the contents of the bag. Okie dokie. Is that everything? That is everything. So, let's see. The name of this kit. I've got so much. Is their name? Happy Hello. And might as well just get the cardstock out of the way. Got a beautiful teal, a gray, and then the Nina 110 pound. Yay. I'm sure they've got a name. Smoke and Peacock. You figure out which is which. This is is this Simple Stories? Stamp set. Okay, come on. Double-sided. Yeah, Simple Stories 6x8 Wildflower. And some really pretty double-sided papers in this. I'm going to use some of these. They're so pretty. I've got a couple birthday cards I need to make today. And my dogs are barking. Okay, so we've got this. Tide Pool, positively saturated ink, and some embossing ink, little distress cube. We have a Happy Wishes die, a white metallic envelope. Simon Says create. Have to check that out. Cool. We got another card with our WLD4U, save $5. Cool. Look, we got a single sheet of craft consortium paper. That's pretty fun. And well, we've got two things left. We've got this fun little teal colored hands for like embossing. I have one of these already in the, I think it's a black color. Where'd it go? I don't know. I'm looking around and I don't see it. And the funny thing is my craft room's actually clean. So you would think it would be like right in my line of sight. It's not. Well, that's okay because I've got this one now. And this stamp set is just so much fun. We've got this beautiful little, I can't think of what the, like, there's a name for it and it eludes me right now. It'll come to me as soon as I stop thinking about it. But anyway, we've got some nice sentiments. Thank you, friend. Happy birthday. Thank you. Consider this a paper hug. Sending love and support. Sending you a happy hello just because I'm thinking of you. And my dog is right here. I don't know if you hear him. You might hear his nose. He's sniffing around. So anyway, let's get started on some cards. So for this first card, I am taking this heart with the, I guess it's like a folk art little heart with some birds, and it's really, really, really cute. And I am going to go ahead and use some Simon Says clear ink, and I am going to emboss with the embossing powder that came with the kit. Now, I already went ahead and used my powder, my anti-static tool on that. You didn't see me do it, but I actually did it for a change. And so I am going to get this nice and heat embossed all with the speckled egg. I actually wish I would have got the salvage patina. I think I like that color just a little better, but the speckled egg is still a really pretty color with, well, it looks like a speckled robin's egg. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. Now, can you? I guess you could, but it turned out pretty nice. So, I kind of brush away the extra little grains of powder, even though, like I said, I did use my anti-static tool, but for whatever reason, the anti-static tool just kind of thumbed its nose at me and got powder all over the place anyhow. And it's not because I don't know how to use an anti-static tool, because believe me, I had a lot of powder on the card after I used it. So I'm pouring excess back into the jar, and we're going to get this all nice and shiny. When using your heat tool with a bigger area like this, sometimes, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I'm not sure if I'm overheating it. I'm just trying to make sure that I have no place that looks dull and every place looks shiny. So I've got this heart die. It's a generic heart die. It's not the one that it's not the one that you can buy that goes with this the stamp set, but it was close enough that I was able to use it. Now, if you look closely, it cut a little bit through some of the little floral or the leaves on the side, but overall, it was almost perfectly sized for that heart. And now I'm just going to emboss Happy Birthday right down there on this sheet of Nina Solar White that we have left over. And you don't see me doing it, but I didn't get a real good heat emboss on this, so I did it twice, but I only showed me doing it the one time because I figure sitting through me doing it once was probably torture enough to watch, and so I wasn't going to subject you to watching me do it twice. And again, you saw I used the anti-static powder. I was like really on top of it for a change, considering that probably 75% of the time I forget to use it. And so we get this all embossed again using the same speckled egg. I don't even own salvage patina, so that's why we use the speckled egg. I think I've only got 2 or 3 of the Tim Holtz embossing glazes. I think I've got the lumberjack one he came out with, and maybe one other one I can't think of right now. It's kind of fun stuff. If you put it's actually translucent, so if you have something stamped in a darker color, it's going to show up underneath the embossing. So I've got the pattern paper that I cut out. It's the geographic pattern, and I'm going to take a little bit of actually salvage patina to go around the edges of this paper because I thought that the speckled egg would just be a little bit too spot on, and I wanted a little bit of contrast. And here you see it was, I'm like, where's my little purple paw, so it'll hold my oxide. And I go ahead and I ink around the entire sheet of pattern paper. Now this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of paper, so it's a full size A2. And what you're going to see is I'm doing 3 cards, and we're not going to be doing any coloring on any of them. So if you don't like to color, this is the video for you. I just figured these pattern papers were so pretty, and this stamp set really didn't have any coloring. There is a matching stencil. Well, I say matching, but actually if you use the stencil, you don't need to stamp at all, because if you notice, it's a solid image once it's stamped. So it's not like you would stamp it in black and then stencil over it. So again, I took the salvage patina and I went all the way around the heart because I just thought it just added a little something. And I went right along the edge of the happy birthday. I didn't go all the way in, and I'm just using whatever ink is left on my glass mat and on my blending brush. I didn't bring in any new ink because I wanted it to be really light. And I'm going to pop up the heart, which I did, and I am going to pop up the happy birthday. So on the back, I'm just using some, I think it's Nuvo tape runner that I had. I'm trying to use up some of these little tape runners I have because I have lots and lots of tape for my ATG gun. And I need to start using some of that up instead of my glue. I've got so much adhesive, it's not even funny. So I brought in my little score buddy here to help me line up my card. And you can see I've got my little foam tape there on the back of the heart. And I'm going to pop that right into the middle of a landscape card. So we turned it on our side so the heart would fit nicely. And I'm just putting foam tape on the back of our sentiment and putting that right in the middle. And as I'm looking at this card, it's very pretty, but it needs a little contrast, just something. But first, I guess, I wasn't sure what I did first. I am going to take the stamp set that came in a previous kit. I think it's Talkie, or I don't even know. I'd have to go dig it out and look. But I'm going to take the sentiment, sending so many happy thoughts I can't contain them all. And I'm going to stamp that on the inside because, like I said, I did need this card to send as a birthday card. So I figured I would stamp on the inside, and I'm going to use the salvaged patina ink because that is still on my desk here. And I'm going to get that nice and inked up. So Talkative, that's the name of the stamp set. So yeah, that's the one I used. And I think it might have been the first or second time I've used that stamp set. I'm not always real good using these card kits as they come in, unfortunately. And the funny thing is, I thought I was like, I'm not doing too bad. I got this card kit out in March, and it's still March. And so it's, the March kit, getting this out in March, I'm doing really good. And then as I was making it, the doorbell rang and it was April's kit. So I got to get on that too. So maybe I'll get April's kit out while it's still March. Most likely, I probably won't get to it till April, but we'll see. So anyway, here I am thinking like a little red heart right in the center there might just be the thing to give this just a tiny bit of contrast. And so I stuck it right over the heart. The blue heart that I embossed showed just a little bit around that red heart. And that's a red heart peel off from Love from Lizzie. It's just in my stash. And then I took two teensy weensy hearts and I just put one kind of in each corner. I didn't want to overdo it, but I thought just maybe a little more touch of the red might just kind of look cute. And it did, because everything I do is cute. And then I decided I was going to pop a little bit inside. And that was going to be it for this card. Of course, I had to play with it because it fell off my little pick and I had to get it just right. And then I finally did. And this card turned out pretty nice. And so that's card number 1. Now let's see. Moving on to card number 2. I've got this little postage stamp dies. I think they might be Simon Says. I think they might have come in a card kit a while ago. And none of them quite fit the LOVE, but I fell in love with those. And then I fell in love with the little floral that I decided to take an oval scallop die and cut out. It's got little butterfly and a little flower. And it says, thinking of you. Now the Thinking of You is very light, so I thought I'd use the LOVE as well. And you can see I cut that out. I think that's a Spellbinder's oval die, a scalloped oval die. And the LOVE that I'm going to use, my little tiny postage stamp die, it doesn't cut out a whole lot of the border, but there's still just enough to see which color it is. Now, if you don't have a postage stamp die, you can always just use your scissors and cut it out. But I thought, okay, I'm going to use that on the card, and I tried finding a piece of pattern paper. Originally, I wasn't sure if I was just going to put it on my card base, or I looked at that pink gingham and I'm like, no, that's too much. And I really, I tried it on a lot of the different papers, and I came back to the same design that we used on the first card, only it's a geographic, it's in gray. It's the same geographic design, only instead of the blue that was on the first card, it's going to be the gray one. But you can see I'm kind of putting it on all of them, seeing if I can get it to work, and it's like, nah, the gray just looks so much better. So we're just going to go with that. We don't want it to be way too busy. And I thought again about maybe taking it down to 4 by 5 1/4, but I decided to do a full A2 size because I wanted to make sure that when we, glued down the LOVE, that we had enough room and we weren't going off of the pattern paper. So that's why I cut it the size I did. And again, we have a top folding card, and I'm just right now trying to make sure that everything is going to look okay. And it is very pretty, but I kind of think it needs something else. And I'm not just talking about popping it up or anything else. It's I could add some bling when it's done, but I bring in this piece of ribbon. Now, I originally tried a lighter pink, and that didn't work, and I cut that out because why make this video longer than it needs to be? And so I just am going to tape this ribbon to the back of my card. There's my ATG gun. I did not use the Nuvo tape runner this time. So I just pulled that. And normally I like to tape my ribbon down in the front as well, but this is an organza ribbon and I didn't want it showing through it all, so I only taped it to the back. And so cut that down, get it all nice and pretty, and tape over it again, because you definitely don't want a spot with no tape when you go to put this on your card base. And I'm using the Score Buddy again so I can get that nice and, right where it needs to be on the first try. And it's so pretty. So now I am going to take the little tape runner I have and put tape all over this Thinking of You, my scalloped oval. This paper in this kit, this pattern paper, was just, I don't know that I've used as much pattern paper when doing a card kit. I just really, really like this pattern paper. I could probably do 3 or 4 more cards just using the pattern paper. That's how much I really liked it. So I started putting the love down, and I quickly realized when I got to that E that I did not space it right. And so I didn't press these down. I was just trying to put them down lightly. And so I was able to pull them all off and move them. Now I'm just putting the L there so I can space these out. But because the L is on the organza ribbon, I'm going to need to use some liquid glue to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be. But the other letters were fine with just the tape runner. So get those all nice and even just by eyeballing them. I probably could have used my T-square to make sure they were a little bit more perfect, but I think they're good enough. And so I've got that glued down, and I'm going to actually, I don't know if I show it, but I actually kind of lift that up a little bit on the side to make sure there's glue underneath that ribbon too. Now we're going to just tie a knot. I like bows normally. I don't do a whole lot of knots, but in this case I thought the knot was the way to go. And so that's what I did. I get it knotted and then just cut those ends off. And booyah, this is card number 2, and I really think it turned out quite nicely. And yeah, that ribbon was just in my stash. I think it might be a Stamps of Life ribbon. I think it might match some of their pattern paper. I'm not sure. And so now for this last card, I have got some basil paper. It's got texture already, little dots. So I cut that out, and I also used a arch die that I had in my stash, and I cut that out as well. This is going a little quicker than I should have slowed it down so I could explain exactly what I was doing, but I'm not going to go back and slow it down now. So I cut the arch out of a stash in my die, and I just love this paper, so I kind of framed it out with the arch and then cut it out, and we're going to put that right in the center of the basil cardstock. It's like a buttery yellow basil. I didn't see a name on it, or I'd tell you. And I cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to have a little bit of a white frame going on this time. And this card didn't like to cooperate with me too much. I had to move that over a few times, and luckily, because I used like the dot runner, and didn't press it down, I was able to move it without any problem. And I wanted to use the Happy Wishes sentiment, but it didn't have any contrast, so I was trying to figure out which color I wanted to use, whether I wanted to use a little bit darker pink or that kind of corally pink. The little bit darker pink was still not enough contrast, so then I decided to use the pinky coral, and that one showed up a little bit better. So I'm not going to waste the 2 other ones I cut out, and because they're all pink, it's not going to matter if you kind of see them on the side. So I'm using Simon Says dot paper, and I am going to put them all there and get them all sticky that way. That way there's no messing with liquid glue or anything else. All I have to bother is burnishing them down real well. The one thing I have found with this dot paper is I think I'm going to have to start cutting out sections that I've used, because I'm not always sure what's used on it and what's not. And if you put down something that in a section that's already been used, you're not going to get any adhesive. So I think I've wasted a lot of this sheet, because there's still bunch of sticky sections, but there's so many unsticky sections that I'm just going to use a new sheet from now on, because I did buy a whole pack of the stuff. Love it. And it makes these die cuts, so easy just to get down. And I'm just trying to make sure I've got it burnished a little bit better. And we are going to put the dark pink on, well, the medium pink on top of the light pink, and then we can put the dark pink on the medium pink and end up putting it all on our sheet of paper. But I am going to wait to put it on the paper because it's stacked. I want to first put some foam tape on the back of my yellow paper. And so you are going to see me put, this is cherry on top foam tape. It is extremely sticky, and you're going to see that in a minute. And I just put 3 pieces on this. I thought about trying to squeeze in 4, but it is an inch thick tape, and it works a little bit better on 4 1/4 pieces, because then I make sure I have enough room for 4 pieces of tape. When I'm working with a little bit smaller, you've got to be really careful of getting each piece straight if you want to put 4 pieces on there. Now I wish I could like pull these all off at the same time like I've seen people do, but no, I got to do them each one at a time or I'll just like screw up. Now watch this. I barely touch it and I'm like, no, that's not where I wanted it. That's not right. It might have been right, but I was just like, no. And I'm like, great. Screwed that card base up, but I could still use this card front. I'm going to put a little bit of glue because there is paper now on my tape right in that little corner. And I'm going to be much more careful now that I don't accidentally put this down before I'm ready to. Now that's a whole new card base there because there is damage to the other card base. And we get it right where I want to. Yay. I'm not going to waste that other card base though. In some other card in the future, when I have a full 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 piece of paper to put over it, I will use that because it is barely damaged, but just damaged enough you don't want it showing in the corner there. So here I am re-putting down that because it wasn't as sticky as I needed it to be in the center. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure where I've used this entire sheet at, and I know there are still sticky spots on it, but I'll get a new sheet out anytime I use it again. So I'm getting my T-ruler out because I figure with my luck I would put this on cockeyed. And I'm just going to put it right there at the top. Our happy wishes. And this is where I think I'm going to bring in my Spectrum Noir. Oh, wait, no, I'm ahead of myself. I am thinking of putting a ribbon on. Well, it's too late to wrap the ribbon around the pattern paper or anything, so I just decide I'm just going to go with the bow. I don't need a strip of ribbon as well. And anytime I do a bow, it takes some fiddling with. It's just not perfect on the first time. So I'm just kind of making this side a little bigger and this side a little smaller and pulling it out and really working with it. And it takes a bit. I mean, as it was, I've probably cut out a good minute of me fiddling with it. 30 seconds a minute, I don't know. I'm still fiddling. And when I use bows like this, I like to use glue dots and liquid glue. You will see that. I'm not going to skip that part because I think it's pretty important to get your bows down that way with 5 glue dots and liquid glue. Now I put the centered glue dot right where the center bow is, and then each of the bow loops I put a single glue dot down. And then I also put a glue dot down where each of the little tails go. And just to make it extra secure, I put liquid glue in the center of the bow. The glue dot lets it go down immediately and stick there, and that gives the liquid glue plenty of time to dry as well. And I put glue on either side of the center, not quite in the center where the glue dot is. That way it's not going to move at all. And I'm just picking off all the release paper from all of our little glue dots and getting it all down nice. And my one tail's a little longer than I'd like, so I cut that off. And I think that just adds so much to this card. And now when I'm looking at it, I decide I am going to shimmer up the happy wishes. So I take my Spectrum Noir's glitter pen, and then I go, oh no, I grabbed the sterling silver Spectrum Noir glitter pen. Why the heck do I even have a silver one? Well, it came in a kit. So I take a water brush and try to dilute it a little bit. I'm like, but then I go back and I take the original Spectrum Noir glitter pen that I wanted to use, the clear one, and I go over the entire Happy Wishes. And I am looking at it. It's all nice and dry now, and you can't even really tell where the sterling silver was. And it dries nice. And so, never panic. Just carry on and keep doing what you were doing. And usually you can fix your mistakes. And you know what? I made like 2 mistakes on this card, and it still turned out really pretty, I think. So there's that. So if you enjoyed watching me, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate you subscribing. I know I've been behind on all of my card making. I kept procrastinating, and then I was like, well, it's been so long. Will anybody even miss me? I don't know. And one thing led to another. But I have got a lot of card kits I have got to make videos for. So anyway, I'm so glad you were here. Bye-bye for now, everyone. Love you.